I'm very happy to receive you here. First question, why do you choose the name ERICA? This is a big question.
That's a bit personal question, actually. So, this is Erica Big with Swarovski crystal. It's actually key hanger.
Okay.
And a friend of mine gave me this as a Christmas gift, I guess. And then I derived a logo from this and the name company after this one.
How many persons are working in ERICA SYNTHS today?
It depends how we phrase the question, because one is how many persons get salary from ERICA SYNTHS.
Yes.
So that's 8. We have Elise, who is based in Berlin. So she's our artist relations and marketing and PR person. And then we are 6 of us. We are in our office. Yes. And then another guy, he works from home. He's our PCB designer. So we recently hired him. And he joined team last autumn or last summer. So now we are 8 of us. But if we expand our universe a bit, we have several outsourced engineers, and then we have 3 factories that make our instruments. And 2 of those factories are actually almost half of their workload comes from us. So basically, if we add up all those people who are involved in processes, this is, I believe it's around almost 100.
100%, yes.
Yeah. But of course, they are not directly employed by ERICA SYNTHS, but we by outsourcing our services, we are like giving work to them, and so.
You are based in Latvia. Then, like you said, there is person in Berlin. There is another countries.
But Elisa moved from Riga to Berlin because her friend lives there, and if you have a person who is responsible for contacts with musicians and artists, Berlin is the best place in Europe to be.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and actually, as we work in a kind of global market, then it makes sense to have nowadays you do not need to be present in specific place necessarily. Of course, it's more it's more effective to work together when we develop some new instrument. Like we are working on Perkons. It's very important to have all team in place so we can instantly share some thoughts. So I could do some brainstorming, what works better, and listen, how it sounds and how a sequencer works and so. But there are tasks which can be completed remotely. Like we do not need PCB designer in-house all the time, so he can work from his place 100 kilometers from Riga.
For the production, it is artisanal and fully assembled in Latvia?
Yes. Because I believe Latvia has, if not the best, then one of the best infrastructures for electronics manufacturing. And we really do 100% assembly in Latvia. And we also promote Latvia as a place to manufacture instruments for other manufacturers, like Šahmat Modular has moved their manufacturing to Latvia. Coma Electronics is making their stuff. I'm sorry. their stuff in Latvia, and few other companies, because we encourage them. And Latvia is closer than typically like manufacturing is made in China or somewhere, and also because we have such a good infrastructure for electronics manufacturing, we did not want to invest in our own assembly machines and assembly lines, because that's like such a specific thing to do, and it requires like specific skills and people to operate this machine, and it possibly cannot be it will not work like all day long, and so on. So there are a lot of reasons why we just chose to outsource manufacturing, and I'm really happy about it. Most businesses, they start by some accident, by something comes together, and then when a business becomes larger, then typically they invent some story behind, how some fancy story, how it started and stuff. And, I did not build business by putting like large ambitions at very beginning. And actually for me, the size of business is not that important as how interesting it is, how passionate you feel when you are doing a thing. And yes, at a certain time I felt that we can be one of top manufacturers in the world, which we are. And this is really thanks to our ability to produce everything in Latvia, to produce so fast, and to invest in stock. And because we really can ship orders, like most of orders we can ship like same day or next day. It doesn't matter how large the order actually is. So putting all those nuances, that ability to produce fast, and to develop a stock to satisfy not only end customers but retailers who want like quick turnovers of their money. And it gives us quite good privilege and reason to be one of leading companies in Eurorack.
Has COVID had a big impact on the production and sale of devices today?
See, it's not that much COVID directly, because our manufacturing did not stop at any point. So it goes on, and we have a lot of instruments in manufacturing, and we have diversified manufacturing. We have actually 3 factories that make our instruments. So that's not an issue, but there is well-known issue about components shortages. So we have microprocessor shortages, and therefore we had to redesign several instruments to accommodate different microprocessors, and we had to postpone Perkons launch, because again we have ordered microprocessor and it was supposed to be here last autumn, but it never arrived. So we had to redesign it for a different microchip and microcontroller, and so yes, impact of COVID is that there are those chip shortages, which are kind of side effect of COVID. But otherwise, people started to buy more. And maybe this is again coincidence that right before COVID we started cooperation with several new large retailers, and actually over last couple of years, when COVID is here, the company grew like significantly, like 2 times.
This is why you have stopped the production of Syntrx?
No, not directly, but there also are some issues with part shortages. For instance, Syntrx had this vernier dials, multi-turn dials, which are like which is kind of signature thing of Syntrx and Synthi and VCS3 instruments, which were inspiration for Syntrx. So we bought them from Japan. But they recently announced that there will be like major shortage of those quality vernier dials because the factory that produced plastic parts for those burned down. So it will take years before they got a new supplier and so on. So, and also we initially thought that Syntrx will be a limited run instrument because of several reasons. So when we hit like production run of 1,000 units, then we said, well, this would be reasonable limited amount of instruments. So we decided to stop it. There will be in total 1,056 Syntrxes out somewhere in the world.
How many you have to sell now?
100. Yeah, because we are actually about to announce the remaining 100 Syntrxes like these weeks or something. But it's a really, really unique instrument, and I really like it how it turned out. Of course, there are a lot of nuances or what we could do better or where we possibly could make some compromise in design or something. But you know, every instrument has its own personality, and our intention by no means was to replicate original Synthi or VCS3. So this was our kind of vision how this instrument could look if we treat it, you know. So there is no part of schematics copied from original one, so we even cannot compare those instruments kind of sound-wise, even though there are people who put some videos out on YouTube and said that, well, they sound quite similar. And the main thing is the feel, you know, how you play instrument and how you use it, and that is there with Syntrx.
I received the email about the postponement of the Perkons release.
Yeah.
Do you think it will be ready soon? Maybe do you have a date to announce?
We hope to make it by end of February, like at least start pre-sale. Yes, I just launched manufacturing of 10 final pre-production prototypes. So those we will be able to send also already to demoers and so. So it's getting there. So all components are in place and stuff.
Not too long to wait.
Yeah, not that long. Of course, I'm always hyper optimistic, and I believe that things can happen faster than they typically do happen. But I cannot do anything with this my feature or habits or so. And therefore, we have again our production manager or head of production, Marta, you know, she's also extremely talented musician, but she stopped playing live gigs. She's a super pessimistic person. So when our worlds collide, you know, then we are getting somewhere, you know, in the middle with a realistic date. I hate to admit that that always some shit happens which prevents you to making things done quicker, but yes, it does, and she admits it, and so it's always a kind of balance balance there.
About the Perkons, we saw a joystick on the first image.
Yeah.
Can you say us if there will be two versions?
No. We dropped idea about having joystick because joystick works better on, or these mod wheels work better on instruments which need kind of high expression on kind of pads, on flowing sound and stuff. But drums are too much about dynamics, and we realized that you actually cannot reasonably record those joystick motions in a beat. Yes. and stuff. So yeah, we ditched idea about joystick and replaced it by regular LFO, which can be assigned to different parameters and synced to BPM and stuff. So that works much better.
Okay, but the joystick, it was for the modulation of the LFO?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, well, so idea was to assign joystick to several parameters and kind of alter those parameters as you play. Actually, the first Perkons version, it was intended to be more analog one than it's today, because we did not want to save presets, which we are doing now. Like on 909, you do not have sound presets. You just tweak knobs and come up with your own sounds. So that was our initial idea, to have it as like dedicated performance instrument. But then when we realized the potential of those sound engines, and as we wanted to have Perkons integrated in live gigs, for instance, for let's take Chemical Brothers, so they need to recall the sound specifically for that song, and therefore we changed the user interface completely and made those recallable presets. And yes, Chemical Brothers are about to pre-order the instrument. So they contacted us. So they are tracking what happens with Perkons.
Will you propose a new big analog or digital synth in the future?
Of course, people have crazy ideas, and we are one of them. So yes, as we accumulate know-how with building modules and other instruments, there is a huge possibility that we will have something. But at the moment, we are focusing on drum machines because we are more into that kind of music. Let's put it that way.
In recent years, we have seen a diversification of production. First from modular to autonomous devices, and then to simpler and less expensive machine, but not less qualitative. Will you continue this momentum?
See, the modular market, it's as you see, it's so segmented and so saturated. When I began a company in 2013, then there was like 30 or 40 modular manufacturers. Now when you go to modular grid and select this drop down, you have over 300 manufacturers.
Yes.
And there are like literally tens of thousands of modules available. Like
this is a jungle.
Yeah. How we did approached modular world actually was buying out a shelf, like in marketing terms, meaning that we did not launch 1 or 2 modules. We launched, I guess, 10 Black Series modules simultaneously, and then next year we launched some 5 Fusion Series modules, and then in a year we launched 14 Pico modules simultaneously. So we actually put out entire series, so we have like significant footprint in a rack. But anyway, modules, they are a good market, and we do quite good business there. But desktop units, of course, they do not have this limitation of having a rack.
Yes.
Which is quite expensive, where you have to mount this. And there are a lot of people who will never go into Eurorack because, and therefore with this bassline or LXR drum machine, we really approached different audiences. Of course, a lot of our current customers who have our modules also get LXR or bassline because they very well integrate with modular systems. But yes, we saw that those standalone instruments, they open up new possibilities, of course. And by how you use the instrument, it's also quite different. Of course, you see lot of modular on stage now, but still, big names are quite skeptical of taking modular on stage because it's, at the end of the day, you need very good and predictable performance, but modular, unfortunately, can give you some unpredictable moments, which is like nice thing about modular, this improvisation thing and doing things wrong, but you not always want to risk. My daughter plays clarinet, and she's about to graduate Latvian Academy of Music. And semi-professional clarinet starts with from like 5,000-6,000 euros at least, and it can go up to several to like 20,000 euros and more, Or if you want to get a decent motorcycle, you cannot get a decent motorcycle for less than 5,000 euros, which will be used one. You can like build your own, but new motorcycles basically start from 7 plus. So any hobby, if you smoke and like in France, they have crazy prices for cigarettes. Like it was like 7 or 8 euros per pack.
More, maybe more.
More, yeah. So add up this within 1 year, and you will be blown away. How many modules you could buy. And you see, I really believe that if you have a hobby which facilitates your creativity, then it's the best investment you can imagine.
Many world-famous musicians use your instruments and are delighted. You must be very honored by such a rise in so few years. Did you think you will get there 10 years ago?
See, this kind of business is really special about having quite personal contact with those superstars, let's say. And they treat manufacturers as stars as well, so we are kind of mutual superstars. Because if you manufacture computer mouses, for instance, you will never have such a personal contact with the end user, and even though this is, I guess, this is one of the most genius computer mouse designs. You see it. I'm creatively envious about who made this. See, it flips over, so it's easier to transport, and I guess it also switches off power when you just turn it like this. When you just again turn it, you have normal mouse which operates. So this is such an ingenious design, you know, and I really admire a person who came up with that one. But I have no idea who designed it, and I have, I guess, no chance to really figure it out because it's Dell, like world's famous company. And so in our case, we have really personal and direct contact with those like large musicians. And so, and also I'm proud that we can promote Latvia as a place that develops and manufactures such instruments. And really, we actually succeeded in that, in promoting Latvia as a place of really, really unique instruments. Like during Superboost, Gus Williams approached me and he said, "Girts, how comes that Latvia outperformed UK in synthesizers?" and that's you know something. And when I started the company, we had a very famous startup here. They were developing the drone which followed athletes as they, for instance, ride a motorcycle or do some kiteboarding or something. So drone automatically tracked the athlete and filmed it and so. And they said, do not use .lv at your website. Use .com because nobody trusts and nobody knows what's LV. So today, actually, we like made a bold statement that LV stands for quality instruments, and people know, you know, who is actually making them.
I also saw that you would have liked to create the motor synth that I love from your compatriots from Game Changer Audio, with whom you are collaborating. They are your friends, or maybe do you have a future project with them?
We had this plasma drive project.
Drive.
Yes, they are our friends, and actually, when they began a company, we gave a lot of advice to them. You know, how to set things up, how to set manufacturing up, and so. And it doesn't mean they listen to all our advices because they are young and ambitious. And so, but yes, they are good friends of ours, and we meet a lot and discuss things and so. And no, but we do not have any project intended.
No new project for the future.
No, not at the moment. Possibly sometime, but because we still operate in quite different markets, you know, they are more in guitar and pedals and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, they made motor synth, but that was not their the most like financially and investment-wise successful project. Let's put it that way.
Latvia is at the top of electronics. Your country is at the forefront in this field. How do you explain it?
I have no idea why it is so. Let's say we have some historical heritage from Soviet times, because during Soviet times here were a lot of known and secret plants that made different things for and high-tech things for Soviet military, for their space programs and stuff. But all those companies who make who emerged lately and who are like world-class manufacturers, they are built from scratch actually. So it's really hard to explain why it is so. Alpha, which is one of our partners, and they make like roughly half of our modules. Mm-hmm. They were here from Soviet times, and they actually during Soviet times made like a lot of advanced things for military, for households appliances, and they even produced. They have small museum room in their factory, and they even produced FX pedal with wow effect pedal. but they have know-how of developing microchips. So over last 4 years, they came up with like almost 20 musical application-specific chips. Like they did updated versions of the CM chips. They have a lot of innovative their own chip designs. So a lot of Eurorack and not only Eurorack manufacturers use microchips produced in or developed in Latvia. So, for instance, Descartes' Dream synthesizer, it's stuffed with chips made in Latvia, actually. So, and during Superbooth, I met Schmidt synthesizer guys. You know this German 20-something thousand euro huge analog synthesizer, and he said, "Well, Girts, thanks to you, actually, the company has survived because you cannot get CM chips anymore. There are some selected ones, but they're like huge synthesizer requires tons of those. So as Alpha made contemporary versions of those chips, and they are freely available, so a lot of companies can first survive, can service vintage synthesizers, and can come up with new analog synthesizers, which I'm very happy about. I have no explanation why Latvia has such a good infrastructure in electronics manufacturing.
What kind of music do you prefer for listening and for playing?
See, a person, in order to have a point, a person has to cover quite a field of music, of something, you know, to identify what works for you, what's not. And so when I grew up, I was a lot in classic rock, and how I actually started interest about electronic music instruments was in late secondary school. We wanted to make a punk rock band, so I made actually guitar just from scratch. I made electric guitar. I made some FX pedals just from zero, and there were no proper information in that was Soviet times back then, so we did not have any access to Western media, and so but this punk rock band never happened. But I still was listening classical rock and stuff. But lately, I mostly listen experimental electronic music. I really admire Pansonic, for instance, Ryohei Ikeda, quite much techno, actually, and yeah, sometimes. Nils Frams, for instance, is like guy who kind of merges this classical touch with possibilities of synthesizers and stuff. So yeah, that's a quite diverse field of Nils Peters malware, for instance, or Electro Guzzi, who actually do live performances, performing kind of fusion jazz, techno thing and stuff. But I do not treat myself as musician, and because I have never studied music, and so and sometimes I like to perform, but then I set up specific system for each specific performance. I never repeat it. I doubt I could repeat the same performance in the same fashion like I did before. So because I always rearrange systems, I choose like very difficult systems. Like I used last spring, I was performing on that 5U system,
yes.
which is very limited. You know, you can have Eurorack system with some advanced sequencer, and you can pre-program entire your performance. You can use samplers in your Eurorack system, and it opens up such a diversity in sound and how you patch it up. So classical systems like those, they have way more limited possibilities, but they require much more creativity how you make them sound, you know, and but most challenging thing is how to make them sound diversely, so you can really keep audience's attention for 40 minutes, you know. And I cannot play keyboard, and if you can play keyboard, of course you can come up with something beautiful, you know. But then me, as a person who can't play keyboard, again, I am limited in what I can do and what I know how to do. In that sense, for instance, surge systems are really inspiring, because they most of their modules do not operate even without internal patching with those banana cables. And that's such an area for exploration, you know.
You have children. Do they play music with dad's machines? Your daughter makes clarinet?
Yeah, daughter plays clarinet, but I also gave her as a Christmas gift for last Christmas. I gave her a Lettone controller, which is a wind controller from early 70s, which is intended to control modular synthesizers. So she plays that. She does some performances with looping clarinet with looper pedals.
With a looper, yes.
And she is professionally trained musician, so she can play like really advanced stuff, and she can write, she can read score, and so. My son just started studies in Latvian university, so he started studying physics.
Yes.
And he's not particularly creative person, but he builds DIY kits. So we just launched our educational DIY kit. So series of DIY kits. So he was the first who built those, and he has actually quite impressive rack he built exclusively as a DIY project. So he approaches music from this electronics and DIY perspective.
Like me, you are a big fan of motorbikes, and you own some wonderful model. Do you prefer music or motorbikes?
It depends, let's say, because aesthetically, I prefer motorcycles because they are so beautiful. They are like extremely beautiful things. Actually, I just got another one. It was on Sunday. They bring it from Germany. Have KTM RC8.
Yes.
Very, very nice looking one. But I will redesign it completely. But let's like both those bikes and music, they provide positive emotions.
Yes.
And those emotions can arise both from riding bikes and performing music, or just enjoying music. So because you see, every person has some diversity. Something comes from mom, something comes from your dad, something comes from your friends, and from influences from somewhere, and this is how your personality is built. So my personality revolves around motorcycles and synthesizers.
The legend says that you ask your employees to pass the motorcycle license. Is it true or not?
I treat they are my colleagues and friends. Yes, but it is true. We have an unwritten law in our company that as you join the company, you have to pass motorcycle license, and every single of us has a motorcycle, and we have two company motorcycles. One is electrical, one is kind of. For starters, with a small engine, you can drive without this proper motorcycle license. If you have car license, you can drive that motorcycle. So we have accessibility to motorcycles free of charge, and then of course we facilitate also getting motorcycle license. There are some exceptions. Not all girls have a motorcycle license, but this is just a question of time. Thank you, Eric, for having me.
Thank you, Gert. Hope we can speak together next time.